And I'm from an organization called the Gauteng Partnership Fund, and I will be presenting to you just on the products that we currently have within the organization. My topic for today is called, or is titled, the GPF as a catalyst of empowering the historically disadvantaged individuals under the ambit of the EEPF program. Just to give you guys a background of the Gauteng Partnership Fund, the GPF was founded as a trust in 2002. We report to the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements, and we are basically an implementing agent for the Department of Gauteng Human Settlements. The GPF, as an agency of the Department of Human Settlements, our mandate is as follows. It is to attract public and private sector capital into low-income housing. We provide a risk-sharing and co-funding with prospective funders, and we serve as an implementing agent, as I had mentioned, for the Department of Human Settlements. The GPF currently has numerous funding programs. However, for the purpose of this presentation, we will only focus on the Entrepreneur Empowerment Property Fund. This program is a program which specifically speaks to your new entrant property developers who are from a historically disadvantaged background, which is your 100% black owned. We normally fund your 100% black owned entities under this program. Just to give a background on the program itself, the EEPF was established in 2010, and it was mainly for black people, or the historically disadvantaged rather. We aim to assist the HDI participants to overcome funding challenges which they experience with your normal funding institutions. And another thing would be that we provide very competitive interest rates for our funding products. In terms of the funding structure, as I had mentioned, we fund your historically disadvantaged individuals, where if you're 100% HDI, you would then qualify for a maximum of 40% GPF exposure, and your loan term would come up to a maximum of 20 years. In terms of our loan pricing, the EEPF, we charge an interest rate of JIBAR plus 0.5% for the first 5 years, and it goes up by 1% or 1.5%, every 5 years. So the JIBAR refers to the Johannesburg Interbank exchange rate, which is lower than your ordinary prime. In terms of the equity contribution that's required for your EEPF program, we require a minimum equity contribution of 3%. However, that equity contribution is fully reliant on the viability of your project, meaning that should your project not be viable at the minimum equity prescribed, then we would then request that or try to work into a higher equity contribution. The benefits of the EEPF program is as follows. As I had mentioned, it's aimed at first-time developers who are from historically disadvantaged backgrounds. It has preferential interest rates. We offer a 2 million interest-free loan which has a 5-year moratorium. The GPF in this program has a more hands-on approach, and All developers that do not have experience in the property sector will only get a maximum of 10 million GPF exposure. In terms of the EEPF statistics, we currently have 45 active participants in the program, where majority of those participants are males, sitting at 26 males, 19 females, and 14 individuals or companies which comprise of the youth. The aim of this program is mainly to also attract female developers as well as more of the youth developers for this program. In terms of the required documents, we require on submission a comprehensive business plan. We require a geotech report that the geotech report only applies for your greenfields developments, and thereafter, if you are going to do a refurbishment or a conversion, then we would require a structural engineer's report. We require a zoning certificate, elemental cost estimates or bill of quantities, your company docs, building plans, as well as proof of bulk availability. With regards to the requirements on submission, should you require any or detailed information on this program, you're more than likely to contact us, and we will then provide a complete pack of guidelines. So this here is just one of our projects that we funded as the GPF and which fell under the EEPF program. It's a project in Johannesburg by Volmarans, and another one is a project in Germiston, Primrose. Anyone who wishes to apply can submit their application online on www.gpf.org.za, or they can request more information on the details on the screen. Another thing I forgot to mention is within the program, the minimum units that are required is 15 units. So if you've got a property that you're willing to develop on, or you would like to develop on, as long as your development will yield a minimum of 15 units, then we will be able to look into it only if the project is viable. And that's the end of my presentation. I'll take questions. Thank you. The same requirements for student accommodation. In terms of the required documents, it's the same requirements. However, the interest rates differ. In terms of our pricing, we charge JIBA plus 2.5 for student accommodation, which goes up by 1% every 5 years. And then the minimum number of beds required is 50 beds for student accommodation. On one side? Yes. And obviously your facility should be not more than 5 kilometers away from the university institution. If it's more, then you would need to then provide transport for the students. And then in terms of the equity contribution for student accommodation, it's 10% minimum.
Is it also possible just to rent the rent? Is it possible to rent instead of buying a property or developing one? Is it possible to get funding just to rent or long-term lease?
No, and we can do a long-term lease as long as it's, because we give you a loan term of 20 years. So if your lease is like 99 years or 50 years, then we can still look at it because you would have repaid the loan by the time your lease expires. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Answer.
Might just repeat the requirements for the backyard. You mentioned stage villages.
Okay.
The requirements for backyard.
Okay, that's fine. So the CASI for real requirements would entail that firstly you need to be the owner of the property. You need to have space available, backyard space available for you to develop a minimum of 4 units. Unfortunately, your zoning needs to be in place. However, whatever you spend towards the project can contribute towards your equity. So if you had to pay for the rezoning, for instance, that would contribute towards your equity.
Okay, sorry, I missed the first part of the presentation. I wanted to ask, what's the minimum funds you're supposed to have individually if I have to apply? How much am I supposed to have in the account?
So just clarify, we don't fund an individual, we fund a company.
Yeah, I'm saying.
So
Sorry.
the amount that is required would be in relation to the equity that your project requires. So if it requires 3%, then we would want the 3% equity contribution. If it's 10%, then we would also require 10% of the total project cost.
Okay. My second question will be, I've registered an NPC, which is a non-profit company. So if I apply for funding from, let's say, lottery, and they give me whatever funding to complete maybe a sports center, for example, where I can develop tennis courts and so on. So if in future I want to add maybe another structure for maybe, let's say, netball or whatever, will you be able to, do I qualify or do I go via other departments or do I go to social development or what?
Who owns the land?
So, well, I identify the land and then, then you go to lottery and say, I've identified the land, and if on the project that I'm going to submit when I'm looking for funding, they cover for that. Let's say maybe for the first 6 months, the project is completed. If I want to add other structure that, like maybe, like I was saying, netball courts, basketball courts, will you be able to consider that? Because maybe other clubs will be able to use the facility to host tournaments and so on.
So remember,
I don't know how do we go about it.
we only do residential. We don't do your recreational development. No, we only do residential.
Thank you.
Yes, I just wanted to find out in terms of what you just explained, that you only fund companies. I just want to find out if I'm an individual, I can apply using, if the property is registered in an individual's name, but they've got a company, can they apply as the individual but with the company? How does that work?
So you would need to transfer the company to the.
So the property needs to
the
be
company.
in the company's name. Oh, okay, I see. Thanks.
Yes. Let's say, for instance, I've got just an RDP housing, and then I want to change it into the business space. I need funding, I need your backup. How are you going to help me with that? And then another question, they said when there is a place whereby maybe a government, and then like a space, and then I was developed, and then into a business, is an individual. So I'll regular spaces or this own is individual but business yamat. And then in what happened la kenel la motamia in the process of what I would develop black data into a business. My Kelonato is jealous. I really bought a little another space. And then we find there a problem. Yeah, or a total the bottom of our that piece of the land. Give it our like an element of helping somebody for that.
So if we maybe in someone says it like now how we do our funding now, you identify a piece of land. Again, identify a piece of land. It's either you have a signed offer to purchase, if the land is not in your name. You have a signed offer to purchase, which is signed by both parties, and then you would then include the land cost into the total development cost. So you would also fund the acquisition part. And then if the land is already yours, we want a title deed. And then we will then take obviously what you've paid for in terms of what's written on your deed. We'll take that and include that in the project cost, so that can contribute towards your equity. However, with regards to encroachments, and that's more of a municipality function, where if already you have submitted an application to, I think it's your building inspectors or something like that, where they would then assist in terms of sorting out that encroachment. We wouldn't fall part of that transaction.
I mean, in an area whereby this place, I saw the title deed, and I say hand over to municipality. But currently, we use a developer for business. So it's on the game letter about it's on the title deed or title deed is on title deed, because that means the land is not yours. Like we want proof the land is yours. You can't develop or you can't do anything on land that does not belong to you.
If you have a bonded property and still paying the remainder of your bond, can you buy off that debt so that it can be part of the new loan that I'm now taking with you guys?
Normally, we expect that the land, it must be unencumbered. So, meaning, that's how always the bank. I don't know if I make sense. So, the land must be unencumbered.
So it means I must first pay off that loan and then only then that I can apply. And
so it will also depend on how much you're still owing on the bank. We need to, it would be a special case where we need to thoroughly look into the transaction.
okay.
So just coming back to the point here, the title deed and ownership. If you is it possible if you lease or if the company sort of leases the plot of land on whoever owns the title deed and you apply to that company, would that work, or how would it work if there's a leasehold as opposed to outright holding of the title?
So it would depend on the term of the lease. So it can't be anything less than 10 years.
So if it's a 99-year lease, then you would take it as holding the title.
Yeah, we could look into that.
Hi, Palesa. I just need clarification in terms of if maybe you want to do your project on an existing property, let's say you don't own it, are you saying, or am I quoting you correctly to say that I will need to change let's say maybe that property is in my name. So before I can embark on that project, I have to register it as in a company, in the company name.
So, because we will fund the company. It's a similar question that the guy at the back was asking. We are going to be funding the company, not you as the individual. So you need the land to belong to the company. However, I think the transfer costs can be included into the total project costs. I don't know if I'm making sense.
I'm saying the property is in my name, so it has to be registered in the company name.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I'm very good with the focus. I just want to talk and make it talk on the side. Yeah, we could let talk and make it like what time we could talk. How far we have identified point out already. Lona as a government, Lona as a municipality. There is a certain element of oppression whereby you find for a glass space. Lisa or maybe we are Lisa but business or whatever the dana arrange some most of the time I'm only fasting my feet about last telephone dinner. And then from there, want to keep us right at the dinner, want to throw an but when as a South African, what is our being to go gain some span, we don't have about 4 years to go listen to them. Marawanaba, I think about telling you, Mumu, about telling the dinner, want to tell us about heat. And as on your go at about it, lease you guys and do it tomorrow, and transfer it in the Tamala 10 years. But then, whenever 1 to 3, 1 to 3, get dinner, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 3, and not to it tries an ayaba, also in house and one with something. All I made is scam. I don't think about 1 clip about the men 1 to 3, that's not a business, one more simply no home, but why the sons and daughters of the soil is a riff, and everybody's crying about that. Or why are not South African girls who create like us and do it through papers? But what I want to fit about, and then if it another make one fit another much, but I literally next in I want to structure. Maralisho next, Maradona to give us some phone. So in Chemoya,
unfortunately, I give a regular span. So I won't be able to answer what you just asked me because I work for the Gauteng Partnership Fund. I do not work for the municipality. However, with my minimal knowledge, I understand that with every municipality, there's legislation and policies that needs to be followed. So maybe within the municipality that you reside in, which is, I'm guessing, Ekurhuleni, you would then go to Ekurhuleni and find out how you can deal with such issues. Thanks.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Justine. And I did do some construction not some, it's been 11 years. And I know that there is town planning that needs to be considered while you're doing the construction of whatever you plan to do. Mama here behind me, she asked a question about this property that she has and she wants to do a business there. Town planning is required to monitor how things go because there's traffic and the land might not be appropriate for whatever your business or whatever you are planning to do on that land. So that is something that you need to consider, and it is one of the legislations. Is that the word?
Yes. If you had looked at my presentation, unfortunately you just came in.
Yes.
So we do require zoning certificates.
Yes.
So zoning certificate will then determine what the current zoning of the property is and whether it's appropriate for whatever development that you want to do. For instance, with our kind of developments, we're speaking of a higher density development.
Yes.
So we would then require residential 3, 4, in other cases, business 1.
Yes.
So it depends on the municipality regulations, what it allows, what density you actually require for your development, and basically, what the zoning certificate states. So you're correct, yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thank you, Sissy. And just in closing, I understand that the paperwork is a lot of work to do, but it is important that us as South Africans, we abide by the law, as frustrating as it is. Like, let's just do it. And I know it's tough. Sorry. I'm loving the sound of my voice right now.
Can we be able to get this information that we have been discussing on the website?
Yes, there is the same information on the website. However, if you require anything more or you've got more questions, you're more than welcome to contact either me or my colleague Sandra.
I was going to ask if we can get a copy of the slides, but you answered it there.
Okay, sure. Any other questions? Thank you so much.